Welcome, the rare gems. Strength is not how much you can handle before you break, but how much you can endure after you've been broken. If you've ever found yourself at rock bottom and thought it was the end, but somehow you've come back stronger, then you are a Sigma female. Life has knocked you down, but every time you've risen with more power, clarity, and resilience than before. You don't crumble under pressure. You learn, adapt, and grow. You are the woman who understands that every fall is not a defeat but a lesson that builds you up. You don't need anyone's approval or validation. You've built your strength from within, and that's why you keep rising, no matter what life throws your way. This video is for the women who don't let setbacks define them. We'll explore what makes Sigma females so extraordinary. You are unstoppable. If you've ever felt like your falls were just steps toward your greatness, keep watching. It's time to embrace the power of a Sigma female who rises after every fall. Number 1. Pain becomes her greatest mentor. For a Sigma female, pain isn't something to escape or numb. It's something to understand. While others may try to push it away, she sits with it, studies it, and lets it speak to her. Each wound becomes a lesson, each scar a reminder of her capacity to endure and grow. Heartbreak doesn't just leave her shattered. It gives her the tools to rebuild with sharper instincts and deeper self-awareness. Betrayal doesn't leave her bitter. It teaches her how to discern trust more carefully. Failure doesn't break her confidence. It reshapes her strategy. Pain is her harshest yet most honest mentor, and she listens carefully to what it has to teach. This ability to transform suffering into strength is what sets her apart. She doesn't wallow or waste time asking, "Why me?" Instead, she asks, "What now?" Every painful experience becomes a blueprint for her next move, teaching her how to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and precision. She learns faster because pain forces her to confront truths that comfort would let her avoid. While comfort makes others complacent, her struggles force her to adapt and evolve in ways that most people can't even comprehend. Through this process, she becomes unshakable. She doesn't fear pain because she knows it can't destroy her. It can only refine her. This mindset allows her to approach life with courage, clarity, and confidence. She's not invincible, but she's unbreakable in the ways that matter most. Pain doesn't control her. She uses it as fuel, as inspiration, as a means to rise higher than she ever thought possible. A Sigma female doesn't just endure her struggles, she masters them, and in doing so she becomes the kind of woman who can face anything and come out stronger every time. Number 2, failure is her secret weapon. Failure doesn't intimidate a Sigma female, it energizes her. Where others see defeat, she sees opportunity. To her, failure isn't a verdict, it's data. It's a chance to analyze what went wrong, adjust her approach, and come back stronger. She doesn't waste time drowning in self-pity or blaming the world for her setbacks. Instead, she dissects every misstep with ruthless honesty, extracting lessons that most people overlook. For her, failure is a tool, not a threat, and she wields it with skill. This mindset makes her unstoppable. When she stumbles, she doesn't dwell on the fall, she studies it. Every failure sharpens her instincts, teaching her how to move more strategically and with greater precision. She understands that success isn't built on avoiding mistakes, but on learning from them. Each misstep becomes a stepping stone, paving the way for something greater. She doesn't just recover, she reinvents herself, using failure as the blueprint for her evolution. What sets her apart is her refusal to see failure as the end of the story. She knows that every loss contains the seeds of a future victory, and she's patient enough to cultivate them. She doesn't rush the process or let frustration cloud her focus. Instead, she works with precision, turning each setback into an opportunity for growth. Failure, for a Sigma female, is never final. It's transformative. It fuels her ambition, strengthens her resolve, and deepens her self-awareness. While others crumble under its weight, she rises above it, smarter and more determined than before. Every time the world expects her to give up, she surprises it by coming back stronger, more prepared, and more resilient. Failure isn't her weakness, it's her greatest weapon, and she uses it to conquer whatever comes her way. Number 3, she rewrites the narrative. A Sigma female refuses to let the world define her. While others might settle into the victim role handed to them, she simply doesn't have the patience for it. She understands that playing the victim only gives away her power, and that's something she'll never do. Instead, she takes control, grabs the pen, and rewrites her story on her own terms. Setbacks don't make her feel defeated. They spark her determination to create a new chapter, one where she emerges stronger than ever. She doesn't let rejection or failure label her as unworthy. To her, rejection isn't a closed door, it's a sign to change direction, a detour leading her somewhere better. Setbacks aren't signs of weakness, but challenges waiting to be conquered. This ability to reframe the narrative gives her an edge most people don't have. While others see obstacles as the end, she sees them as turning points, crucial moments that shape her into someone even more unstoppable. Her life isn't a tragedy of missed opportunities or bad luck. It's an epic, a story of resilience, transformation, and triumph. She's not interested in dwelling on the unfairness of life. She's too busy creating a future she's proud of. Every mistake, every heartbreak, every disappointment becomes part of a greater story, one she's determined to finish her way. What makes her truly remarkable is her ability to keep moving forward, even when the odds are stacked against her. She rewrites the rules, breaks free from society's expectations, and becomes the author of her destiny. A Sigma female doesn't just endure life. She shapes it, bends it, and redefines it until it aligns with her vision. And in doing so, she proves that her story is hers alone to tell, and no one else's. Number 4. She doesn't seek pity, she demands respect. A Sigma female doesn't parade her struggles for validation or sympathy. She understands that pity is fleeting and hollow, offering nothing of real value. Instead, she transforms her pain into strength and wears her scars not as a plea for attention, but as proof of her resilience. Her hardships aren't stories she tells to gain favor. They're lessons she carries within, shaping her into someone who demands respect without ever asking for it. She knows that true power comes from action, not words. While others may dwell on their struggles, she chooses to rise quietly and let her growth do the talking. She doesn't need to explain what she's been through or justify how far she's come. The way she carries herself, the confidence in her stride, the focus in her eyes, and the determination in her choices says everything. Her resilience is loud enough. There's no need for declarations. What sets her apart is her refusal to let pain define her. She doesn't cling to it, nor does she use it as an excuse. Instead, she uses it as fuel, propelling her forward and silencing those who ever doubted her. She doesn't ask for understanding because she doesn't need it. What she earns instead through sheer grit and perseverance is respect, the kind that can't be given freely, but must be earned. Her approach is simple, yet profound. Let your strength speak for itself. By refusing to seek pity and instead demanding respect, the Sigma female reclaims her narrative. She proves that resilience isn't about shouting your survival to the world. It's about becoming so solid, so unshakable that your presence alone tells a story no one can ignore. Number 5. She becomes harder to break. Each time a Sigma female falls, she doesn't just get back up, she fortifies herself. Every hardship she faces adds another layer to her emotional armor. But this isn't about shutting the world out or becoming cold. It's about clarity. With every experience, she sharpens her understanding of what truly matters and learns to draw boundaries that protect her energy. This makes her harder to break, not because she avoids emotions, but because she's learned how to master them. Her resilience doesn't mean she's unfeeling, it means she's selective. She knows the difference between battles worth fighting and noise that can be ignored. She doesn't waste her energy on situations or people that drain her. Instead, she invests in what aligns with her values and vision. This clarity allows her to navigate life with a focus and strength that others can only admire. She's not emotionally untouchable because she's detached. She's untouchable because she's grounded. Her ability to guard her peace isn't a wall to keep people out. It's a filter. She lets in what nurtures her and blocks out what doesn't. This makes her interactions purposeful and her relationships meaningful. She doesn't need chaos to feel alive or validation to feel worthy. Her peace is her power, and she fiercely protects it. Over time, her resilience becomes her defining trait. She isn't hardened by life's challenges, she's refined by them. Every fall teaches her how to stand taller, every loss strengthens her resolve, and every lesson deepens her self-awareness. This isn't numbness, it's mastery. A Sigma female becomes harder to break not because she avoids pain, but because she's learned how to turn it into a tool for her growth, making her unshakable in the face of life's unpredictability. We appreciate you, Rare Gems, for being a treasured subscriber. Your consistent support is vital to us and fuels our passion for delivering meaningful content. Thank you for your engagement and encouragement. Number 6. She's her own competition. A Sigma female doesn't get caught up in the exhausting cycle of comparison. She knows that looking at someone else's path will only distract her from her own. She's not interested in measuring herself against others or chasing society's arbitrary standards. Her focus is singular, becoming better than the woman she was yesterday. That's the only competition that matters to her, and it's the one she's committed to winning. Every setback is an opportunity to recalibrate and grow. When she falls, she doesn't look around to see how others are doing, she looks inward. She asks herself the tough questions, faces her weaknesses head-on, and takes accountability for her growth. Her failures aren't about proving anything to anyone else, they're stepping stones in her personal evolution. She's not trying to outshine her peers or seek external validation. Her only goal is to outdo herself, and that's where her power lies. This mindset makes her unstoppable. While others waste time worrying about how they stack up, she's already moving forward, learning, and improving. She doesn't care who's ahead or behind because her journey is hers alone. This self-reliance frees her from the need to impress or compete with anyone else. She sets her own standards, measures her success on her terms, and refuses to be boxed in by comparisons. Her relentless drive to improve isn't about perfection, it's about progress. She understands that the real battle is always internal, against her fears, her doubts, and her past mistakes. And every time she rises after a fall, she's not just proving her resilience, she's becoming a better version of herself. For a Sigma female, the only person she needs to beat is the woman she sees in the mirror, and that's a challenge she never backs down from. Number 7. Rejection fuels her innovation. For a Sigma female, rejection isn't the end, it's the beginning of something new. When a door slams in her face, she doesn't waste her energy begging for it to reopen. She doesn't wallow or second-guess her worth. Instead, she shifts her focus entirely and starts building her own door. Rejection isn't a dead end for her, it's a redirection, a spark that forces her to think differently, act boldly, and create opportunities others wouldn't dare imagine. She views rejection as a challenge, a call to innovate and adapt. Where others might feel defeated or deterred, she finds motivation. Being denied access doesn't dishearten her. It sharpens her instincts and pushes her to explore options no one else sees. She doesn't settle for traditional solutions or conventional paths. Instead, she crafts her own way, often paving a road that others end up following. Her ability to turn rejection into innovation sets her apart. While others may seek approval or validation, she operates independently, trusting her vision even when the world doesn't. She knows that rejection is often less about her and more about someone else's limited perspective. And that's why she refuses to shrink or conform. Instead, she grows bolder, smarter, and more creative, using every no as fuel to get to her yes. This mindset not only keeps her moving forward, but also makes her unstoppable. Rejection doesn't hold her back. It propels her to rise higher and think bigger. By refusing to let anyone else define her limits, she continuously reinvents herself and her path. For the Sigma female, rejection isn't a failure, it's the birthplace of her greatest breakthroughs. Number 8. Celebrator of other women. A Sigma female knows that lifting others doesn't dim her own light, it multiplies it. She's not the kind of woman who feels threatened by the success or beauty of others. Instead, she sees strength in the women around her and chooses to amplify it. She understands that true power comes from collaboration, not competition, and that when one woman rises, she paves the way for others to do the same. She's the one who claps the loudest when another woman wins, not because she's trying to look good, but because she genuinely believes in the strength of sisterhood. For her, another woman's victory isn't a threat. It's proof that more victories are possible. She knows how isolating the journey can be and makes it her mission to remind others that they're not alone. Her encouragement is genuine, and her support is unwavering. She doesn't need to diminish others to feel strong. Her strength comes from within. She also recognizes that empowerment is a chain reaction. A kind word, a helping hand, or even just a nod of acknowledgement can create ripples that change lives. She's not interested in gossip, backstabbing, or petty rivalries. Those things are beneath her. Instead, she chooses to be a source of encouragement, understanding that her success and happiness are tied to the collective strength of women around her. By uplifting others, she strengthens herself. She creates a network of empowered, resilient women who all share the same unspoken mission: to rise and to help others rise too. This is where her true greatness lies, not just in her ability to overcome, but in her ability to help others do the same. A Sigma female knows that when women support each other, everyone becomes unstoppable. Number 9. Complicated forgiveness. A Sigma female understands that forgiveness is more than just an act. It's a journey. She knows that forgiving others who have wronged her is tough, but the real challenge lies in forgiving herself. When she falls, whether due to her own missteps or the actions of others, she feels the weight of it deeply. But it's in these moments that she realizes the hardest person to forgive is herself. She replays the events, wondering if she could have done better, if there was something she missed, or if she could have taken a different path. This self-blame, though common, can be crippling if allowed to take root. Yet she knows that this kind of self-punishment doesn't serve her growth. It's easy to stay stuck in regret. But she also understands that true growth comes from learning, not from endlessly revisiting past failures. Forgiving herself becomes the bridge to her rise. She accepts that mistakes are part of the process, not a reflection of her worth. The more she holds on to guilt, the less space she has for progress. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing herself from the burden of past mistakes and understanding that she's human. It's about accepting that each fall, each failure, is just a lesson waiting to be turned into strength. It's also about letting go of the emotional chains that tie her to her past so she can move forward. The Sigma female knows that her power lies not in avoiding failure, but in learning to rise no matter how many times she falls, and doing so with grace and an open heart. Number 10. Unapologetic selfishness. A Sigma female understands that in order to keep moving forward, she has to prioritize herself, no matter how the world perceives it. She doesn't subscribe to the idea that being selfless at all costs is virtuous. She knows that constantly giving of herself without replenishing her own energy leads to burnout, bitterness, and ultimately, stagnation. So when she takes time for herself, when she says no to others, or when she walks away from draining situations, she does it unapologetically. She understands that self-care isn't selfish, it's survival. To keep rising, she has to protect her peace, nurture her soul, and focus on her own growth. That might mean disappointing others or upsetting expectations, but she knows that without a solid foundation of self-respect and well-being, she won't be able to help anyone else. Her growth is her responsibility, and she takes it seriously. While the world may label her as selfish for setting boundaries, she recognizes that there's a difference between selfishness and self-preservation. Her decision to put herself first isn't about ignoring the needs of others. It's about recognizing that when she's strong and at her best, she can give more authentically and more effectively. She refuses to be consumed by other people's demands or opinions. She stands firm in her choice to put her own needs ahead of others when necessary, because she knows that without that, there is no growth. For the Sigma female, unapologetic selfishness is an act of self-love and self-respect. It's about honoring herself in a world that often demands her to shrink, and in doing so, she ensures she's always able to rise, no matter how many times she falls. If you've ever felt the weight of the world on your shoulders, only to rise again, stronger, wiser, and more determined, you are a Sigma female. You've faced hardships that would break most people, But instead of folding, you've turned those struggles into the very foundation of your strength. You don't wait for permission to stand tall. You rise on your own terms, and you do it without apology. The world may try to label you, question you, or even challenge you, but you know that your power comes from within, and nothing can take that from you. The truth is, you've mastered the art of transformation. Every fall, every setback, is just another chapter in your story, and you refuse to let anyone else write it for you. You rewrite the narrative with every step you take, turning pain into power and rejection into opportunity. You don't just survive, you thrive. And it's in this rise, after every fall, that you truly find out who you are, a force that can't be stopped. So, don't ever question your worth or your journey. Keep rising, even when it feels like the weight is too much. Trust yourself, trust your resilience, and know that the best is yet to come. You are a Sigma female, unstoppable, unbreakable, and always rising. Now go out there and show the world the power of your rise. Take care and see you in our next video. God bless.